is everyone doing this evening? As well as y'all can see, hammered and went out again, so we'll still go head on. I guess I might just have to buy a new laptop. So once again, I'd like to thank you for tuning into another Morning Glory Apostolic Prophetic Center video. I am your host, Hubbard, and today I want to talk about the pain of it all. The pain of it all. And we're going to be in Numbers chapter 21. We're going to start at verse 1. But as I was traveling over the weekend, and it's amazing how you can look at your life and you can go from a drug dealing, garbage hauling, womanizing man to now God is using your voice, your testimony, trials in such a way that you are able to speak hope, life, power, and destiny into other people. So as I was just doing my usual, God allowed me to hear him talk about it all. And as I was spoke to a few people today, this really is one of the most painful years that many believers have had to encounter in uh, uh, since they had a relationship with God. And for many of us, we have come to face that some of the things that we have experienced, for some of us, there would no longer, we're no longer to be able to experience those things. We would just have memories. And the memories, we got to understand that a lot of time when we go through things, we can't fathom what God may be using the particular trial or situation for. But we do have to understand that whether God allows us to go through a period of mourning or a period of not thinking we're worthy, we got to understand that we can't stay in those feelings anymore. We got to understand that the pain that many of us are experience, will experience, and still experience is for a much greater purpose. Numbers 21 and 1 says, and when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. So what we got to understand is that many of us were taken up by something. We were taken up by maybe our talk, the way we look, the way we express ourselves, the way that we took care of business. And what happening or happened is that people who really didn't end us took us and thought that they was going to destroy us. So many of us were in prison by what we thought. We thought now was things that God has given us, only that when our eyes becomes open, we have to face the fact that we were in prison by our own selfish needs, wants, desire. And here we go. A lot of us, we vow to God. God, if you send me this man, I'll do this. God, if you send me this woman, I'll do that. If you get me out of this, I'll do this. If you get me out of that, I'll do that. And what happens, God gave us what we asked for. The problem is we didn't understand what we asked for. I think talking to traveling like I've been doing, talking to people like I've been doing, I think what has happened to many of us, we pray for God to give us stuff, but we don't understand what He does. Or shall I say, we don't understand what all that comes with. And for many of us, we in this place called hormone, which means God allowed us to break free from things that will break us. Hormone in the Hebrew means broken rock, banned, or devoted to destructions, which means a lot of the things or pain that many of you are experiencing in this season is because God want to break your foundation to show you who you really are, who you're really connected to, and what you really got going on. See, some of y'all think y'all got it going on. Oh, that tail sitting right. Them titties perking. Oh, you built. But you got to be more than your body. You got to be more than your mind. You got to be more than your money. You got to be more than what you connected to. So God had to break you to make you. But the problem is, we don't like the people assigned to do the breaking. We don't like the people assigned that's in our hearts. So many of us, we sit back, we become bitter, we become hurt, we become mad, we become sad, and we become lost in what we lose. You cannot be lost in what you lose. Because what many of you fail to see, whatever you think about the most because you losing it, that's the God that's the idol God had to break out of your life. So a lot of your idols are so in tune with your spirit that you crying about an idol God had tear out. We took for granted things that were commonly given to us, and we reduced them to things that you didn't have to do that. I remember when I was in the house, I had a wife then, you know, her brother came and stayed with us, and we got in a disagreement over something, and we had went all the way up to Columbus and brought her back, and we traveled all day. And in this agreement, he said, you didn't have to do that. You could tell he was living on the street. Didn't have nothing. But in the midst of his anger, he said, I didn't ask you to do it or something like that. I ain't sure. But watch this. The very thing that many of you took for granted, for many of you, that's what you need right now. That's what you need. But what happened, because our pride is stronger than our spirit, we reject what we need because now we're asking God for what we want. Can I tell you? A lot of you have what you need, but because you didn't understand it and you handle it improperly, you can't get what you want. Because to get what you want, God gonna ask, what's wrong with what you had? What's wrong with what I gave you? Verse 4 said, and they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the sort of people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against God and against Moses, wherefore have ye brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there's no bread, neither is there any water. Our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. The pain of it all is, God took you to a certain way to meet certain people at a certain time in your life that you needed delivering. Okay? But now that you become delivered, now that you become established, now that you become familiar, now you mad at what you got. They don't love me how I want to be loved. They ain't got no money for me. They doing you discouraged. The way God had to bring you. And now you in worse shape than you were. You know, I look at the people in my life that told me I messed their life, and I'm looking at their life before they met me. Listen here. I'm not ashamed. I'm not mad. And I'm not discouraged for nothing I did for nobody, no matter who it is. But it's a shame that for many of you, that you affected people's life in a positive way and gave them things otherwise they probably wouldn't have gotten, only for them to tell you, you messed my life up. Do you know what that does to people? But not people of God. Because we don't count losses as losses. We count losses as marks on our belt. Because we striving for the eternal blessing, not the natural blessing that many of you seeking to have on this earth. Verse 5, and the people spoke against God and against Moses. Wherefore have brought us out of Egypt to die in this wilderness? See, some of you wouldn't be nowhere near where you were, and I ain't ashamed to say it, if you had met Brother Hubbard. I know you ain't. You know how I know? Because I know. Ain't never won me. I done brought plenty people out of bondage. And when I get out of bondage, now they saying, you finna let us die in the wilderness. For there's no bread, no water. Which means why you can't give an answer? Why you can't soothe my soul? Why you can't tell me what I want to hear? Many of you have to look at what you got. When you take inventory of what you got, think about where you were before you got what you got. All right? See, people talk against things they can't accept. I was listening to the young lady give her testimony on the video. Listening to it. And I had a chat with her. And to hear her say in the video, my mentor told me this guy was going to rape me. God had already told you this guy wasn't for you. Watch this. When you in your emotions, you will never hear what sounds right anyway. And when I was talking to her, the woman said, how did you know to call every time I got in the car with him? Every time I got in the car, you text. What did I say? I said, that's God looking out for you. That's God looking out for you. How is God looking out for some of y'all, but y'all don't want to accept the way he want to look out for you? Because if it don't line up with your flesh, you can't accept it. See, for many of you, you in a place where, for many of us, myself included, for the married people, we in a place where we about to lose our mates. Because, watch this, not because we done anything wrong, but because one of them don't want to accept that they are wrong. I had a call today, married couple, had a little discouragement. I had a call. And I said a few things. But the important thing, I hope they understood what I said. The disagreement that you have, never let that break up your marriage. So what? You leave your panties on the floor. So what? You leave the water running. So what? He don't take out the garbage. If the Bible says what God has put together, let no man asunder. The reason a lot of people don't really understand that, because they thinking God talking about outsiders. When he said, let no man put asunder, that means your individual thinking mess your marriage up. That's what it means. Because you become one. But when he said, let no man, that means you think by yourself. Why y'all think I wrote that book? For people like us, like us. Married but not connected. And a lot of marriages about to end because they start thinking separate. You the man that messing up your marriage. Now, part two, what does man mean? Man represents strength, authority, leadership. That means for many of you, in your marriage, you took authority over how you was going to live when you was married. See, y'all got to understand, you think it's a small thing that you don't tell your husband how much money you got. Oh, you think it's a small thing because you don't tell your wife you're going to buy a new video game. No, you think it's separate. So when we look at it like that, you taking authority over this part of your life, even though y'all should have authority together. How are you ever going to get some in life as a couple and one person want to know every dollar you got, but you don't know none of the dollars they got? Selfishness, individuality. This my house, this my car, this my money. I go to work. Where's the togetherness? People that got married and don't even know what marriage about. How you know you don't know what marriage about? Because you ain't working together. My friend, my family. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something one day. Why would God say when you get married, you should leave your family and cleave to one another? Adam didn't have a family, did it? So how can he cleave to Eve? Ask yourself. So a lot of you speaking against the people that God sent to save you. You speaking against God. How you speaking against God? Now you send God to bring you the right man, bring you the right woman. Watch this. God is a God of principle. If you're not going to do the next woman or the next man the same way you did the one that you don't have, God ain't finna give you nothing new. Because everybody happy to you till you don't get what you want. You don't get what you want. So now you're in pain. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they beat the people, and much people of Israel. Now, for some of you, you've been bit by the serpent. What does that mean? If you stayed and understood who God was, some of you wouldn't be going through the trouble that you're going through. Some of you facing housing crisis, money crisis, health crisis, friend crisis, depression crisis. You know why? Until God verifies that you leave your place of protection, the person's still responsible for protecting you. But because many were moved by their emotion, that's why that's why a lot of you hasten to go file for divorce. You did that because you was in your emotions. All emotions are. Hear me good. You better write it down because you're gonna miss it. Emotions are nothing more than my own selfish way of thinking. That's what emotions is. It's selfishness. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. I feel this way. I feel that way. When you become an I, you become selfish. So now you in pain. Physical, spiritual, natural, health related. But you got to understand, for some of you, you're going through this for a reason. Isaiah 30, verse 30, 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet your teacher will not hide himself anymore, but your eyes shall see your teachers, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. When you turn to the right or when you turn to the left. See, some of y'all on a path that you had to get to this point. Bread of adversity and the water of affliction. That means let me feed you with what hurts you. See, some of you had to get your heart broken. You had to get to a point that you separate from people, places, things, and your spouse. You know why? Because God has to teach you who you are. See, a lot of you got your identity in things that are not of God, but they have become your God. See, your identity is AKA, and now AKA is your God. So when God speaks to you and say you need to denounce this, you can't denounce it because that's your identity. And your ear shall hear a word. You can't hear from you unless you turn loose what's leading. And for many of you, it's your emotion. It's your emotion. Your own selfish way of thinking. 1 Peter 5:10 said, and after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. See, it don't look good for Brother Hubbard over him because God gave me a deadline because I got a call on my life. I can't wait around. So my suffering is for a little while, like some of y'all suffering. But what do I teach y'all? That's what I teach people so hard. I got to make sure that you hear the voice of God. So when you get to a place of suffering, you can know God speaking to you and stop asking advice from people who say they know God, but really don't hear the voice of God because they're speaking to you out of what they believe they want for you. See, just imagine if I didn't tell that woman, if I didn't say what I said at the right time, I wonder what would happen. I wonder what would happen. Restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. One thing about God when he restores something, sometimes you ever seen a car being restored? See, sometimes the damage is so bad, they can't restore that part. You know what he had to do? You have to cut that part out, go get another piece and replace it. Don't be scared if your restoration have to come with a replacement. I don't want to lose my family. but I know what God told me. And if they don't understand, then guess what? God gonna confirm it. Okay, Deidre, today's the day. It ain't happened. Okay, go head on. The most debilitating thing that can happen to any believer is to miss what God gave you because God went in you. Miss what God gave you because God wasn't in you. Psalms 34:18 says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. See, the reason why a lot of you brokenhearted and your spirit crushed is because you made decisions according to the flesh and not according to your faith. See, flesh decision will always break your heart. Spiritual decision will always give you an understanding of why your heart had to break. And that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They blaming people for things that had to happen, but because God went in them, they don't understand why it's happening. Now they bitter. Now they mad. Now they upset. Now they angry. You know why? Because you're in a rush to get back in pain that God trying to get you out of. You got to understand that for many of us, y'all hold on 1 minute. Yeah. I'm doing a video. Call me right. Yeah. Uh-huh. So what we got to understand is a lot of our broken heart and crushed spirit is guess what? It's because you really didn't have faith in God. See, when you got faith in God, you don't ask God to fix it how you want it fixed. You ask God to fix it how he needs to fix it. See, it's too many witchcraft prayers that ain't answered, but because that's what you taught or were taught, because you don't get no answer, you think it's of God. No, you just prayed the wrong way. Philippians 4:5-7. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. See, when you pray with an unguarded heart and an unguarded mind, you get unchrist-like results. You can't sit around and be happy about somebody that's hurting. You can't sit around and enjoy life knowing somebody's broken. You know, if you want to tell people see me traveling and preaching and smiling, I'm tore up on the inside. You can't see it because I got to preach this gospel. I'm not in a situation. See, when you understand pain, depending on the pain that you are experiencing, you got to understand how to soothe it. See, a lot of y'all soothe it by lying on somebody, treating them bad, you know, making the other person to be the villain while you be the good person. So what happens, your failure to take accountability for who you are, it brings you to the place that you can make the other person responsible for everything that goes on in your life. And now you ain't got no peace. Now you ain't got no understanding. You know why? Because you don't know your relationship with God. Romans 8 and 18 says, I consider that our present sufferings are not sharing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Ask yourself, God, what's in me? See, if you don't know what's in you, how can you tell what's going on in your life is for you? It's for you. Okay, so I'm going to suffer. Huh? But the glory in me is worth it. Bro, Hubbard ain't mad. He ain't upset. He ain't ashamed. He might feel. I was preaching in Birmingham the other day, and I went to a restaurant that I ate when when I was in the house is what I'm saying. I ordered done food like I used to. I'm sitting there eating. Now I got sad. Why I get sad? Because I'm used to having the wife and Joey around. Now I ain't eating all the chicken wings because we usually eat the chicken wings. I throw them away, which means I wasted money. But that's a present suffering. You get what I'm saying? Because it ain't nothing wrong with remembering, but don't forget. See, you can remember what you're going through, but don't forget God got something for you. And see what's wrong with a lot of y'all, you don't understand what God got for you. So what you do, you try to hold on to what you'd have lost because it has become your God. I've been telling y'all for almost 2 months now. How many times you got to tell a person that you don't want them? How many different ways they got to show you they don't want you? How many times they got to tell you you don't do this and I don't want you? Next thing you know, they got a whole nother nigga in the house playing daddy and lying about it. See, that's letting a lot of you need to understand. That's what you know ain't of God, because you got to lie to conceal what you're doing. Second Corinthians 4:16. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light, and there it go again, and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes on not what is seen, but what is unseen. So since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. See, you can look bad on the outside sometimes, but you make sure your inside is being strengthened. See, whatever happened with my marriage, Brother Hubbard ain't gonna sit around here crying. Listen here. They like dogs in heat, waiting on the papers to be signed. I got it lined up. No, I ain't, y'all. No, yep, no. See, I be trying to tell you, you might not be for somebody because they don't see what you are to them. But hey, somebody else, shh, huh? And ain't nothing wrong with that. You got to learn how to move on with what don't want you. You got to learn how to move on. And a lot of you scared to move on. But see, if you're going to move on, you better make sure you're moving on by the Spirit of God and not the spirit of self. The spirit of what I'd have lied about, the spirit of what I'd have betrayed, the spirit of my deception, the spirit of my manipulation, the spirit of my own obligation. What does that mean? Selfishness? See, Isaiah 43:2 says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Whatever trouble you going through, why you letting it kill you? Why you can't eat? Why you losing weight? Why you looking bad? You know why? Because you letting your situation overtake you. And anything overtakes you, guess what? It has become your God. If you sitting around depressed, upset, angry, hurt, that's your God now. Y'all never thought of it like that. I know you haven't. That's why I had to tell you that's your God. Anything you sit around and worship is your God. Every time you get in that mirror and you got to make sure that foundation right and that hair, that's your God. And what God is trying to get us to, he's trying to get us to a place that everything that we touch is of God. Everybody we around can hear God. Why is he getting the ark ready? And we got to heal just like those animals heard, and we got to make sure we at the right place with the right at the right time with the right people, because when God closed the door, you don't want to be out in the rain. You don't want to be in the rain. Man, I don't want to stay where I'm staying. I went from a king size bed to sleeping on the floor. I went from two cars and two trucks, one car, two trucks and two trailers to one truck and one trailer. I went from laughing and joking around and wrestling with Joey to he may answer the phone or he may not answer the phone, depending on how he feel today. But y'all know them teenager type. Why I'm telling y'all that you ain't the only one that suffer. You ain't the only one in pain. But if you allow it to overtake who you are and your way of living, then ain't no power in you. Ain't no power in you. All you know is the word. Y'all do know God has to take from us to strengthen us. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. What's your purpose in God? That's why you don't know what you're going through. That's why you don't know why you got pain, because pain is what birth purpose. Purpose is what causes pain, because when you get through with it all, guess what? You have revelation. You have authority. You have power. You have wisdom. You have understanding. James 1 and 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Y'all know a lot of people don't love God. They just love the things God has to do for them. Romans 5:3. It says, not only so, but we also glory in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character. Character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. See, watch this. That's why I say I ain't shame I miss being in the house, because I got character. You may not like my character, but I got character and hope. See, I'm not ashamed of about nothing I going through what I'm doing. But because there's other people involved, I can't say nothing because they might be shamed. So the identities have been changed to protect the innocent. Who is the innocent? The people who are ashamed to really tell the truth. Brother, how many times you got to tell? I ain't scared to tell the truth. But what I'm scared of is telling the truth and you don't understand it. Boy, I was listening. Not what I was listening. I was listening. I was looking at this TikTok. Old Tracy Edmonds. She said, yeah, y'all got all these false narratives out here. She said, I just want y'all to know I'm the one that called the relationship quits. Y'all know Tracy Edmonds. Dion all right with me. He good in sports. But all y'all around here, Dion said this, Dion said that, and he wasted 11 years. Now that's when you waste somebody's time. She became a 12-year fiance. He wasted 12 years of her life with Beyonce type. That's what's her name did. What the name that died? He did that with the other girl. 12 years. A man know when the first year if he gonna marry. Y'all stop being fool. Matter of fact, he know in the first place. Sometime in the first 30 seconds. But watch this. He ain't through playing yet. So now you got 2 kids, this and that. Y'all break up, boom. He done married another girl in a year. And you was with her for 7 years. Don't be no fool. Y'all better have coochie control. Put that coochie on. See, that was wrong with a lot of you. It's not that you with people that don't treat you right. That coochie just out of control. Any man with a penis can stick it. All he got to do is say the right thing. But that's a whole nother ball game. What you got to understand is that the pain that you're feeling, the only way that you don't know is from God is because you don't have a relationship with God. See, notice what I've been saying. I know why I'm going through what I'm going through. I got the time limit of when God told me, hey, if this don't happen by this day, you go on with your life. I know why he said that. But if y'all around here, you got to go to see the therapist, you got to call sister, mama, brother, guess what? You ain't in the presence of God. Because one thing for sure and 3 things for certain, ain't nothing nor nobody on this earth can get me to change any opinion about anything when I know I hear God's voice. I don't care. Listen here, I'm waiting for this dating world again. Every woman come around me with talking about this my love language. No, you ain't the one for me. My love language, no, you ain't the one. My love, no, you ain't the one. Because see, if it ain't that 2 Corinthians love, whatever you read ain't love. I'm waiting on them, buddy. Well, I want you now on that. Why? A man or a woman that really hear the voice of God is a rare commodity. And coming into this season of preparation, you rather have a man that hear the voice of God than a man that has a job. Because see, a man that hears the voice of God, he gonna tell him where to go to take care of his family anyway. A man with a job, what's gonna happen when that job closes? Do you know how many people I know that when they lost their job, they killed themselves? I was talking to a fellow apostle the other day. He in the dating world. He came and sent me an inbox. He said, "Man, I just met this woman." He said she asked me what my vision is for my ministry. Boy, my mouth dropped. I said, "Boy, you got to keep it there." See, that's what real men of God waiting on. I don't need to know your love language. You don't know God. If you come to me and you talk to me about ministry, my ears gonna open up because I want to hear what you got to say. Oh, but if you tell me, watch this. My gift, my love language is act of service. But I tell you to do something as it relates to ministry, you don't want to do it. What the hell? Get on from around me. My love language is acts of kindness. But somebody in my ministry see you out in the street and try to speak to you, you turn your head and you don't even open your mouth. You just look at them like a deer in headlights. Y'all see how that go hand in hand? But so when you come around, bro Hubbard, and say, "Hey, what vision for ministry now?" But watch this. You ain't got to come around with just a vision. Huh? Just talk the talk. Tell you men something that looking. Don't let these women get so caught up in telling you what they need and what you need to do for them, but they don't know they don't have a clue what to do for you. And next, that little pink patch in the middle of their pants. I'm trying to tell you, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. That coochie get you in trouble, boy. Have you ran denying ministry? Brotherhood, you crazy. But look here. So for many of us, as we close out this Gregorian calendar year of 2024, we just gonna have to understand. For some of us, we might be on the losing end of marriages and relationships. But you got to know Psalm 30 and 5 is real. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Now, how long your night is, it's up to you. See, your night can be 5 days. It can be a month. It can be 4 months. But one thing for you, sure, when you stop crying, you better have something to laugh about. Huh? Boy, I'm trying to tell you now. I can't say what I want to say, brother Hubbard. Ain't no joke now. Well, I was in there, Barbara. Barbara, he said, "Boy, you're looking different. You're looking brand new." Because I changed my hairstyle. I said, "Man, I've been getting same hair for 30 years." I said, "Well, maybe it's that when people get in their 50, they say you got that 50-year itch, whatever they call it." Boy, I step out there, they be looking, boy. Hey, but it ain't all about that. It's about don't let your situation get to you so much that you forget about living. What you mean you lost your appetite? What you mean you don't feel like getting out of bed? You got to let that pain process. And for some of y'all, especially y'all that's married, all it takes is for you to see you instead of looking at the other person. But then again, that's what selfish people do. Always look at you. Y'all be blessed.